This episode of Philly Fame TV is sponsored by Top Dog Law. Now y'all already know who to call for any accidents or injury cases. If you want that top dollar, you better get at Top Dog. You can hit him up on Instagram at Top Dog Law or visit his website www.topdoglaw.com.
It's Rosco P Coldchain. Right now, y'all tuning in to Philly Fame TV.
Philly Fame. This exclusive interview with Rosco P Coldchain took place at P's and Q's on South Street. Make sure y'all come check them out. Shout out to them for letting us use their establishment to get y'all this content. So let's get into it. All right, man. Rosco P, man. Welcome back, first and foremost, man.
Thank you, big homie.
You've been away for a nice little minute, off the scene and all that. And you fresh home 2022 and 2023 now, so you've been home for, a couple months or whatever the case may be. How long you been? A couple months?
About 3 months.
About 3 months, yeah. So you still fresh home, So first and foremost, we was talking a little bit off camera, just give people, what it's like being fresh out. After all that time, 3 months home, what it's been like since you've been home.
It's a culture shock. The world has changed exponentially, and then Philly has changed exponentially, for good and bad. That's really the gist of it.
Right. A lot of change, a whole lot of change. We was talking about that too. A lot of stuff changed. But we gonna jump back. A little bit before we get up to current speed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's take back. A lot of people, I was telling you, a lot of people knew you from, being down with Neptunes. Pharrell early on. It's early on. You was featured on one of them classic records, that Hot Damn joint,
right,
off the Lord Willing album. So a lot of people knew you from that. But before that, let's dig into your upbringing. You from North Philly originally?
Yep, absolutely.
18th and Oxford area, J Street, all
J
that.
Street, 17th and Jefferson, 18th and Oxford, Red Street. So,
give people who ain't lived that era, who wasn't around during that time, who may not be familiar with J Street and the legend. The area you from. Just give people a little bit of history on, what it was like back in that time.
Well, 17th and Jefferson was the staple in the city for buying syrup and pills and stuff like that since, I want to say the 70s to late 60s.
So people know in the industry about lean, they attribute that to Houston and all that. They don't really know Philly had it way back in the day.
Yeah, my grandmother, actually, and a few other women, they actually helped start 17th and Jefferson. And so, my grandmother and I ain't gonna say nobody else, but they helped it, and it took off. So in the 80s, 70s, stuff like that, 90s, it was real big. So the scene in terms of when people just started talking about syrup and pills and all that and was acting like it was new, it been going on. They had Bromanol, they had, it was before the promethazine, it was, cakes, Tumanols, before the Percocets. So, it was always, for us, it was just normal,
Right. And as a kid, I was talking to you off camera, I had seen an interview you did a minute ago where you had mentioned when you was a young boy, you grew up Muslim, so you weren't even able to really listen to music. You was in trouble for listening to music, stuff like. So give them that story, your upbringing before you even got into music. Give them that story.
Yeah, so my mom, she's diehard Muslim. So much so to the point back then it wasn't even a lot of Muslims in the city. You had families, right? But how it is now, it wasn't then. I used to get teased. I had to fight certain people because.
Bro, that's crazy that you say that.
You know what I mean?
And what year was this?
This was the early 90s. I'm gonna say like 91, 90, 92.
Because you said that you see how today Philly like a Muslim city.
It's a Muslim city.
But you said back then, I mean, you came up early, you was Muslim before it was cool or fashionable or, accepted. Like,
so they might call me like a pork, your name Pork Chop, and I wind up fighting somebody, you know what I mean, stuff like that. But in terms of the household, it was extremely religious. Had to pray 5 times a day. Couldn't listen to music unless I went around, like, snuck around on my cousins. And sometimes she slip up because she was still human. So sometimes she listened to her music, but for the most part, it was just a strict Islamic household.
Right. Any siblings? I mean, did you?
Yeah, I got siblings from my father. I was the only child from my mother. I got a brother who passed away. R.I.P. Bird. Bird, and he actually was crazy. He was known in the city he was vicious basketball.
Oh, basketball. That was your brother. I knew who he was. Okay,
yeah, that's my little brother.
I heard. That's crazy. R.I.P. to him.
So he passed away while I was incarcerated, and I got a little sister. And I got brothers, you know what I'm saying? His brothers is my brothers. We was raised, you know what I'm saying? I'm just the oldest, but we was raised together, and you know what I mean? And I got another little sister. So, I got siblings on my dad's side.
Got you. And it said, that you was you had said you was like kind of a rebellious kid, as a youngin'. Running away from home and all that. Yeah, I told you I did my research.
Yeah, I see.
So that's kind of how you got at the mix of the street stuff. So speak a little bit on that, like being a kid, based though you wasn't a strict religious household, and then you just rebelling and doing what you do.
Again, if your parents is too hard on you, you either do 2 things. You either capitulate, bow out, right, gracefully, or I was just never that type of dude. So I ran. And at that time in the 90s, in the early 90s, the crack epidemic was like huge. It was like, the perk epidemic now. You know what I'm saying? Like the dope epidemic now, the fentanyl and all these different things. Crack was super big back then. So, I run away, find an old head, man, I need a pack. And depending on if he knew my family or not, he'd give it to me. You know what I mean? So, I'm out there hustling at 11, 12 years old. And then, my mama come around looking for me. I ain't realizing how stressed out she may be, right? Because I'm not even realizing I'm in this little body. And so, I'll be out there in my 31 tall caps, and dudes be buying crack on me, and my mom will come up on the block. If y'all sell another rock to my son, I'm gonna have all the Muslims down here, and they tell me get off the block. You know what I'm saying? The homies like, yeah, your mom came around, you gotta get off the block.
How old was you at this time?
I was literally like 11, 12.
11, 12. Dang, young boy.
You know what I'm saying? So that's how it started. And every time my mom I felt like she was being too strict, I just up and roll. And she'll find me, and then it'll just be repeated consistently. Yeah.
So at what point did you start? At what age was it when you started playing with the music, started writing, and then realized like, damn, I got something with this? Take it a little step further.
Well, I loved it from the beginning. Like, so I think it was always a thing of me playing with it. I think I took it serious later on in life. I started really writing and stuff like that when I was about 12, 13. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere around there. But I always loved hip hop. Hip hop was like, so you gotta remember, hip hop was the thing that it was anti grown up. Let's say that. All the grown ups, everybody, you know what I'm saying? Everybody hated hip hop. So from, you know, and not in our generation, right? Mm-hmm. Not in my generation or the generation before me, but I'm saying like my parents' generation.
Right.
You know, it wasn't a lot of them that was really on that. Even though, you know, you had James Brown and you had all these different people that was doing hip hop back in the day, but they couldn't listen to James Brown, right? Mm-hmm. So when it came through, you know, with just period, the 80s hip hop.
Curtis Blow.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we using them names, right? But when it came through like that, it was like, you can't listen to this because it was too rebellious towards what they were used to, because, you know, they used to love, right? They just want to hear love.
Right.
And so for me, it was right up my alley. You know what I mean? Because I was anti all that. You know what I mean? Not saying I was anti-love, but I ain't want to hear a love song 24/7. I wanted to hear these motherfuckers rhyme. You know what I mean? And I liked how they rapped over these beats, these hard-ass beats. And I like how running them was so aggressive. You know what I'm saying? And hardcore. And so, yeah, I started writing and trying to emulate them. And then eventually, you know, I got older cousins that rapped. And I used to try to emulate them. And I still didn't find my footing until after I got into the industry. So,
damn, that's crazy. After you got it, that's crazy to say. Like, like damn. Like, yeah. So you ain't really take it serious until you got on, like serious until you got on. Like.
I'm gonna say no. I think yeah. I'm gonna have to agree with that. I think that's when I kind of realized my full potential. Or that I had potential. I didn't realize my full potential till now. Right? Right. But I finally believed that I could rap once I got confirmation from certain people. And specifically when I got my deal. But it was always dudes that was kind of like lauding me, homies. You know, shout out to Big Star. Dudes like that was always kind of like pressing the issue and saying like, yo, you could do it, you hot. But I didn't have that confidence, that self-confidence yet to say like, oh, okay, I can really rap.
Damn, that's crazy. Cause you know, my man, as a lyricist, lyrical with your own style, how your wordplay. So for you to say that sound crazy, like damn, I didn't even know. I mean, that's an interesting thing. But before I get to how you actually got signed and all that, I want to ask you, touch on your name actually, because when you first hear your name, you would think that, I mean, it would be a play on your actual name. Like I always thought your name was actually Rosco. I mean, but in doing some research, I come to find out that's not the case.
No, right.
It actually represent, I mean, what they would call, you know, a strap back in those days, a Rosco early on, and that was actually a name given to you by one of your homies there, and you just kind of ran with it.
Ain't no doubt.
So so give people there, like, I mean, where the Coldchain part come in.
That was real simple. I like Dukes of Hazzard growing up. So growing up, Dukes of Hazzard was my joint. You know what I mean? So instead of being Coldchain, I just said Coldchain.
Oh, so you got it from the Dukes of Hazzard? Oh, all right.
You know what I mean? But I already had Rosco because of this.
See, that's crazy. Cause I always thought the Coldchain came from the John Coltrane.
Nah. It was actually Dukes of Hazzard. I used to watch that joint when I was a kid, and I get the sheriff boy on there. His name was Rosco P Coldchain, so I didn't never like him, but he had a cool name. So I just said, I'm gonna take that, use that last name, flip it, bounce it, and I already got Rosco, and I just added it on.
Right. Yeah. So he basically gave you that name, and it kind of resembled your personality or your reputation at that time, so to speak.
So to speak.
Yeah. So now you take that as your rap name, and before you actually, because you was a solo artist getting down with Pharrell, signed Pharrell, but you was actually a part of a group before that?
Yeah, I was actually a part of like, I was part of like 2 groups, really. I was, you know, I'm from North Philly, and I had family. My family is deeply rooted in Southwest Philly. So I had two separate groups of homies that never knew each other, but everybody rapped. You know what I'm saying? Out of the groups. And so, well, I'm not gonna say all of them, but and my first group of individuals that I dealt with when I came off the steps, you know, they was my guys Double M. So my homie Buck and Carnell and my man F.A.M E, he used to do beats. And so, you know, we just childhood homies. Like, we always played together, stuff like that. We was just kids off the step. And so, going up Southwest, I had a cousin that was in Major Figures by the name of El De Niro.
Oh, that was your cousin?
Yeah, that's my cousin.
That's crazy. I used to fuck with boy back in the day. I never met him or nothing, but I used to fuck with El De Niro. Yeah, that's crazy.
So El De Niro was my cousin, and he's one of them that showed me how to rap. He was always great at writing. He's like the best writer in the world to me, besides Lava. You know what I'm saying? And so they rapped. And when he was in Major Figures, you know, I would go around him to soak it up, right? Mm-hmm. And now I'm going into these studio sessions. You know, I already knew Wiley was in jail. Rick Lowe was in jail. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm not letting everybody know that I can rap in terms of them out Southwest. I'm not really letting them know I can rap too much. My cousin knows, but I'm not letting the Gills and, you know, I'm just sitting in.
You just being around.
I'm just soaking it up. I'm looking at how they present themselves physically. And at that time, like, Gil was probably like the most, I'm gonna say animated, right?
Yeah, but, people that can see that.
Yeah, everybody know, but you know, he's a performer.
Yeah.
He's a performer, and I was always
so he had it back then, like you could see it back then.
Yeah. But I was always super reserved. Now, me and Bump, you know, 9th grade, stuff like that, we went to Ben Franklin together. So I would sit with Bump, and, you know, we would go in the hallways and rap to each other. They'd do little ciphers, and me and Bump a little rap to each other. But now, you know, these dudes is major. They buzzing in the city. And so back then I was super corny. We talking about 9th grade. So now we talking about 18, right? So I'm trying to perfect my craft and write a little bit. But I'm sitting around El De Niro at these studio sessions, and I'm like, man, these dudes is phenomenal, and this dude right here. And so in a sense, I took from him. I took from every last one of them in terms of performance and how they presented themselves. You know what I mean? So it was like watching them was really instrumental in terms of how I presented myself and my art, like the presentation, the performance.
Alright, got you.
Yes, but we still gotta say stockholders. I got with stockholders later on. That was Rick Lowe, El De Niro, Clay, my man Cash, and Dirty Reek, R.P. Reek.
Oh yeah, y'all had so I had a nice little team, I mean, a nice little group right there. Yeah, okay. So I had a couple of people that was a part of Figures, affiliated with the Figures, and y'all kind of had your own.
And we already had our own thing going on.
Yeah, all right, that's what's up.
Yeah.
So you also had an interesting story about how you actually met Pharrell and got there with him. Basically, you said, you know, you had the connection of Southwest, and you know, Most Wanted was out Southwest, and they was working with Pharrell and the Neptunes at the time.
Right.
So I think you said they had a video shoot or something for the Suckers joint.
Yup.
Go ahead, give them that story.
So, at this time, I'm fully immersed in the street and doing whatever I was doing, but you know, I needed a deal, right? And I was just only wishing that I can ever get the opportunity. Now at this time, everybody in the city is getting deals. You know, Major Figures, you know, Siegel's got his deal, Freeway and them, they got their deal. You know, dudes that you wouldn't even know got deals, you know, Rahisi and you know, Marley Manson, all these different people.
Philly was on fire at the time.
On fire, right?
Eve on at the
Eve
time.
was definitely on, right? So now I'm just like, shit, I'm like the last one, you know? And I'm just thinking like, man, only if I can get one. And I'm watching television one day and I see this crazy chick, she got pink hair on and she's screaming how much she hates somebody. And that was Khalees.
I hate you right now.
Right. So now I'm watching that, and it's in a performance shot. At one of the performance shots, she got Pharrell and the Clipse in the shot. These is her homies. So I'm thinking nothing of it, but I remember the video. I'm like, it was a dope video. It's just, you know, who was this crazy chick? Boom. Shout out to Khalees. So, long story short, I happened to see the same dude that I saw in the video just walking up the street, and I'm standing with my man Gunplay at the time. We standing on the corner, and dude walk up. He walked right past. He pulled up in a 911, walked right past us, act like we wasn't even there. Walks down the street, surveys the area, and he walks back. Unknowingly, he's about to shoot a video on the block. And so when he walks up, I'm like, I'm really starting to notice. I'm hearing him over the phone, and he's like, yeah, you know, it's a lot of spitters in Philly. And I'm like, well, who the heck is this dude? I'm like, this is the dude that was on the video. Wait up, maybe he can get me a deal. And then so I said, yeah, man, you might want to. You think you heard some spitters? You might want to hear Rosco P.
You sounded like that third person.
Like that. Everything was third person. So he like, who? I'm like, Rosco P. He like, go get him. I said, all right. And I stood there. I rolled up some weed. And as I'm rolling the weed up, he's getting impatient. So he's like, man, where's Rosco? Man, where is he? And I didn't want to draw attention, right? Because I knew this was my moment. So I just want to give it to him in his ear. I don't really want to be out there rapping 24/7, even though he made me do it anyway, right? So I got in his ear and I started rapping to him. And he was kind of, you know, he was
only
like,
to where he could hear it.
Only to where he could hear it. It wasn't for everybody else. He heard it. And mind you, at this time, it's probably like me, my man, and a couple kids riding their bikes on the block. So it ain't a bunch of people out, you feel me? But I know how this is gonna go.
Right.
And so I rap in his ear. He like, whoa, can you do that again? I said, yeah. He said, wait up. So now the video shoot is starting to get crowded. And now everybody in the city is starting to come to the video shoot. Now all the rappers in the city are starting to come to the video shoot. So eventually, I had to rap against a lot of people.
So it turned into a battle situation.
In a sense, because it wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Like I ain't never.
Like everybody was trying to impress Pharrell, obviously. You know what I mean?
Yeah, everybody was trying to impress Pharrell. That's how it went. You know what I'm saying? And I was more or less like, you know, this is my time. I gotta get it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it ain't turned into like, yo, I want to sign you right then and there type situation. Like,
I mean, I don't think he had the power to do it. It wasn't that. It was when me and Pharrell met, he didn't have a label.
Right. He just was making beats.
He was doing production, you know, for different people. He was a big producer. So the goal was get a label, and we gonna rock and roll like that. And so, you know, I can honestly say I was instrumental on, you know what I'm saying, being there and helping the guys get the label. You know what I mean? And this is when Star Trak finally formed.
So was you the first artist signed, the first official artist signed?
Nah, the Clipse was.
Oh yeah, Clipse.
Clipse and Police was there well before me and my man F.A.M.E.
Oh yeah, and the Clipse actually kind of co-signed you to get the deal.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah. Without a doubt, they, you know what I mean. They was just, I love them dudes, man. They was just some real solid, genuine dudes.
They weren't on no hit and shit like
at all.
I was like, yeah,
it wasn't nothing. It was just more like they came with everything was just open arms, especially my man Push. Like, that's my heart, man. You know what I mean? Yeah, Miles my heart too. Just Miles, he got at that time he had a very older demeanor. So his joint's just like, I don't take any shit.
Cause ain't he the older brother? I think
I ain't even gonna say older. It's like at that time Miles was hard as shit. You know what I'm saying? I was a little young radical dude. Miles was a little like, yeah, you know, he laughed a little bit, you know, but you know, when he was silly and what we did, it was always beautiful. But Pusha was always, you know, he's close in the age, so I think it was always that dichotomy with it.
All right, gotcha. So now let's get to the famous song that you know, I guess most known for, because everybody still talk about that to this day. Like even when I posted you on the page, everybody like, damn, I remember he was on that joint. That song was fire. Everybody was talking like it was other people on. It was the Clipse song.
Yeah.
And Ab Lava was on there, but for some reason your part just stayed. Like it made it like damn near like your song damn near.
Yeah,
like the way people talk about it. So speak on when that joint came out and the video. I mean how that time was. It was like 2002.
2? Was it 2?
Yeah, I think the album dropped in 2002.
The album dropped 2. I think the video came out 3.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But the album dropped 2.
And it's a big album. I mean, I remember that joint. Like it is a big group at the time, big album. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you featured on the hit single.
Yeah.
So speak on that time.
Yeah, that time was all fun. You know what I mean? We went in the stew. We knew we had something, and it was just that big of a record, right? From there, it just caught traction. I mean, it was like, you know, he was leading with Grinding already. Grinding was pretty much, you know, a national hit, you know what I mean, or worldwide hit, however you want to look at it, but it was definitely a smash. So they needed something to lead up with, and they led, if I'm not mistaken, it wasn't low. It was that. Now I'm gonna get it like this. What was that? What was that song called? Using the video for.
When was the last time?
When's the last time they led with the that? Then they came with When's the Last Time, and then to take them over the top, they hit them with Goddamn, and so the biggest part for me was to showcase my hood.
The response and the reaction to it, like now your face out there because of this video on the big song, so now more people recognizing you when you're around in the mixer. So what was that like for you? Like once all of that come
It was spooky. You talking to at that time, like, you know, we was in the shit. So it was like, you ain't know if a dude was coming up to say, you know, to hug you or slug you. But I tried to wrongfully, right? And this is what I will say. This is like a key when it real goes wrong moment. I tried to stay grounded by continuously carrying myself as I did before the music and before the fame. See, when you elevate, and you have to change, right? You can't stay the same dude that you was before or prior to you getting this money and this kind of notoriety. And so then it was like, that's the real thing to do. You know, a dumbass would be like, yo, man, I got all this money. I ain't walking the hood with no bodyguards. And bodyguard shit, that ain't no real shit. I ain't walking with no security. I got my niggas. But these same dudes, depending on the joker that you might got to do something even more so because your feelings is hurt, right? Because you got double crossed, right? So now you might got to do something to him, this, that, and the third, and put everything on the line. And this is the foolish shit that we was on back then, right? And I'm gonna say the majority of rappers back then was on that.
Yeah, because Lox was famous for saying no security.
No security. Not even just that. You trying to prove a point that you this real dude, right? So you doing all this goofy shit to show a motherfucker you real, not even understanding what's the idea of real. What's real? What's your interpretation of real? So now your interpretation of real is by or dictated by the masses of niggas that you think is gangster rappers or gangsters. A bunch of dumb niggas. That's real. You just doing dumb shit, that's real. So if I carry this pistol in here and I do some, I bang on a nigga broad daylight, that's real. If I take all these pills and I'm in here having this business meeting and I'm slurring and all this goofy shit, that's real. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's irresponsible. That's stupid. So he was stupid. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what we was on.
Right.
Yeah.
And like we was talking on oil camera, I told you about this phone conversation that had got recorded. You talking to somebody put part of it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And in the conversation, one of the things you said was touching on something you just mentioned.
Yeah.
You said, I'm the definition of when keeping it real goes wrong.
Ain't no doubt.
And that's how it kind of like derailed your career, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
So before you caught the long sentence, John, that you just came home for, prior to that, while you were signed, did you end up catching a couple cases in the mix of that while you was on? Speak a little bit on that, because that was a part of that what slowed you down too, because you was catching cases while you was signed.
I was my idea of real, right? Doing all this dumb shit, right? Not realizing I got a whole deal on the table. I got the opportunity of a lifetime sitting right here in front of me. You feel me?